Today, I want to talk to you about 5 problems in Umamusume that I firmly believe Cygames needs to get on top of for global if they want to keep their players. And the reason is because the hype around Umamusume is declining, which is normal for a new game, especially when the sponsored creators have moved on, but also because Umamusume's game loop has now been revealed and with so many upcoming gachas up for release from innovative studios. My plan with this video is to inform and discuss and also directly send the feedback here from the comments to Cygames staff. So you're part of the people who can have an impact on the game and get Cygames to make quality life changes for global much earlier than planned. But first, we need to discuss them. And before we do, I just want to say, I love Umamusume. I think the global version came out at the perfect time before any upcoming and promising gacha releases, and also gave the gacha community a breather from Hoyo and Kuro games. So this isn't a hate video on Umamusume, it's a video about the current state of the game, why players are frustrated, what does the Japanese version have that we should, and what needs to be brought in immediately. So let's get into it. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. The first quality of life improvement that global desperately needs is Uma archiving. And what I mean is the ability to write on a legacy/veteran Uma at the veteran list what they are for. Because how on earth are we supposed to stay organized, save time, and also remember which Uma is for what champions meet we've prepared? I don't want to constantly scroll through 200 Umas or having to remember everything I've done in this game. I know we can favorite them with this, but frankly that doesn't help me much either because I need to be able to name them as well. And Umamusume is already an extremely time-consuming gacha in which you need to invest at least 1.5 hours a day to stay on top of everything. And as we're progressing through the champions meet with less intervals than the Japanese version had at launch and less time to prepare, having this now is so important. The Japanese version has this, so it does exist, and it's a quality of life improvement they brought in later because they realized how important it is. So my question is, why don't we have it right now? Let me know in the comments how you navigate around this. Personally, I've been writing down the exact rank number of each Uma I know I want to use, and next to it writing what I made it for. But I don't want to keep doing that. The second problem in global that I think desperately needs a fix is sparks farming. And I mean blue sparks in particular. I'm happy with how green, pink, and white sparks work, and we've been through each type thoroughly in our spark guide, but for blue sparks, I'm actually totally okay with the percentage RNG, but what I personally believe is necessary though is to work on the RNG being 1 to 5 chances of the stat you're actually after to get picked for your blue spark. I explained this thoroughly in our spark guide, but basically, not only are you banking and hoping to get a 3-star blue spark so that your legacy can pass down the max stat in whichever stat gets picked, but then you also got to hope that whichever stat does get picked is the one you're after, which is completely random and is at 1 out of 5 chances since there are 5 stat categories. So basically, 2 layers of RNG on something that is extremely relevant to the game. Again, I think the star rating percentage is fair, but the 1 out of 5 is insanely harsh, especially that completing most careers will take approximately 20 to 30 minutes per run. And if you want to farm sparks 5 times a day with your TP, you can literally end up spending 2.5 hours of your free time with basically nothing to show for it. But hear this, the Japanese version has some crazy stuff around that. They allow you to spend 30 TP to reroll all your sparks, and any attempts after that will just basically cost you carats, which really has a pay-to-win feel to it, but there's also something called Target Spark, which is a function that costs 100 carats, which they added at the 1.5th anniversary where you can reroll a single spark instead of all of them. Now, I really like that you can reroll all of them for 30 TP, because this means that everybody who can only afford to do about 1 career per day, they'll be able to use an extra 30 TP to gain more value out of the time they spent in that career. But the problem is that they haven't brought this into global. And the time we've got to prepare between each champions meet is accelerated compared to how the launch happened for the Japanese version. So we desperately need this now. And just to rub a little bit more dirt in this, in the 2nd anniversary of the Japanese Umamusume, they also threw in something called Agnes Secret Lab, which was an event that allows you to increase your spark star rating. And that's for blue, green, and pink sparks on your legacies. And that's awesome. I think if they were to bring an event like that in occasionally for global right now at the start, it would do wonders for our community. They also have something in the Japanese version called Evolve Skills, where you can basically make skills better versions of themselves as well. But that was something that was introduced at the 2nd anniversary only. Now for the third one, and this is a really annoying one. As we all know, when your Uma receives what we call a blue condition, she'll receive a debuff that will affect her turns depending on which one. That means it's time have you to bring it to the infirmary, or do a recreation and hope that you get the shrine scenario, which is 1 out of 3 chances, so not guaranteed. So you'll most likely go to the infirmary, and the problem is the infirmary doesn't guarantee its removal either. You'll get energy, but the chances of the blue condition being removed are completely RNG based. Now imagine you receive a condition, you use a turn for the infirmary, and the condition doesn't get removed. You go back to the infirmary again, and it doesn't get removed, and yet again, and it doesn't get removed, and again. And yes, I've seen this happen a dozen of times where I've failed 3 consecutive attempts to cure a blue condition, and that's enough to throw you off your entire career and all the time and effort that you spent on that career, because you're almost missing out on turns to train. So that initial career that you started really well with a purpose to build an Uma for team trials or the champions meet gets turned into a substandard spark farming run at best. So for me, this is basically an occasional middle finger from Cygames during my careers that actually just makes me want to forfeit and start over, which is not a good feeling. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure that some of you have felt this way already. For the JP version, apparently they have like a good condition like perfect practice that you can get during a run called Lucky Constitution, which basically protects you from blue conditions more, but it would still seem that the infirmary has RNG. The next thing I would love to see in Global ASAP, and that's the shared retry clock item for all races, including the ones you get to pick and schedule yourself. Now I don't know about you, but I personally think that we should be able to choose whether or not to use our clocks for the races we schedule ourselves, as we get 1 free clock per day, which basically goes to waste every day for me now. But I know I would like to use this instead to often redo races where maybe I came 2nd or 3rd, and I'm not talking about the career G1 races where as long as you meet the fan requirement, you get to move forward. I'm okay with not having control there, but the optional races you get to choose each year, excluding the junior make debut, it would be great to be able to redo those races for more fans if you feel like the results weren't what you were hoping for. So for me, being able to choose where I use my clocks or the free clock would be such an improvement. And the last thing that I really think needs improving in both Global and JP is the TP point system, being training points. TP is a resource that is consumed for careers and acts as an energy system like you'll find in many gacha games, and basically limiting how frequently players can do careers per day. Only problem I have is the cap in Umamusume. It's way too small. 100. That's like the exact problem we had at Genshin Impact's launch. Like, who has the time to log into a game every 6 hours per day to stay on top of that? I mean, really, this is so annoying because the main gameplay of this game being careers is already very long daily routine, and losing TP means also losing opportunities for blue spark runs and CM building. I personally try to squeeze in 3 careers a day, and I'm always at max TP. So I'm curious how you guys manage this, frankly. So please let me know, but ideally I would want this at 240, and that would give me options on my days off where I am available to farm and want to spend more time in the game, because it's 30 TP per career, so 30 times 8 equals 240. So that allows us exactly 8 careers with 240 TP. And this is one of the things I'm really going to push on when I send the feedback over to Cygames and everything else, but also what you guys are going to share with me in the comments, so please do. All this to say that Umamusume is a great game and we all love and we want to continuously see succeed as we pace through the Japanese content. But in the process, I do believe Cygames needs to understand this is no longer 2021. This is 2025. We're entering a whole new era of gacha games which are heavily going to compete with their game, so they need to make sure that they are taking care of their players in the global version just as well as they are in the Japanese version, regardless of how quickly they got their quality of life improvements. And that's exactly what I'm going to push to them. But what do you think? Is there anything else you would really want to see Cygames do for Umamusume? Please let me know in the comments so we can discuss it as well. That's it. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. And I'll do my part and bring you more Umamusume videos filled with tips and tricks to help you succeed. This was Static. Remember to have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.